Hi there, who am I doing? I'm like, okay, Gemini. Yeah, that's the ticket. That's what I'm doing. How are you doing, Gemini? It's so funny because I was like, okay, let's see, it's November 6th, and I'm trying to do a November reading. And who do I have left to do? And I'm not going to do this over again because I think that Geminis will appreciate the fly by the seat of my pants-ness that I'm exhibiting here. Okay, this is for November, which is not half over yet, so there still is plenty of time. And I want to say something, and I've been saying this in all these, been feeling called to say this in all these videos for this particular series. This video is meant for people who are either single or in relationships that are troubled. So if you're happy with your relationship, please switch off. Don't tempt fate. Don't wait for the other shoe to drop. Be happy in your relationship. Some people who have good relationships might be nervous because it doesn't make any sense. They've always broken up with somebody. So don't do that to yourself. Don't do that to the other person. If you have red flags, yeah, continue watching. Better yet, get a personal reading from me, because this reading is tarot based. I do sprinkle in some astrology. The other one is astrology, and I sprinkle in some tarot. So I feel like tarot is more precise in honing in on people's issues, but I don't consider myself a fortune teller. I'm more into evolutionary astrology. So, predictions to me, yes, I give them. And yes, maybe I'm trying to have it both ways. Oh, well. I think Geminis can appreciate that too. Trying to have things both ways. But I don't consider myself a fortune teller or psychic. I'm not here to predict your future. I'm here to encourage you to co-create your future. Don't think that you're powerless. That's my goal. And please, dear God, don't let any leaf blowers ruin this reading. Thank you. And so it is. All right. It's so awkward because the way everything is set up. The heart of the matter is the Page of Swords. Some Geminis may be on high alert, feeling like something is really not quite right. I was going to joke, if you have the moon in Scorpio, this is 24/7 for you. You're going to be a suspicious person, most likely. There might be a few signs like that. Being suspicious sometimes is a self-protective measure, and there's nothing wrong with it. Because if somebody is giving you these signs that they are cheating, that they are lying, why would you just totally ignore your own, maybe your higher self or your spirit guides or your gut, whatever you want to look at it as? That's foolish. That's sticking your head in the sand, and it will probably lead to something even worse. You should be vigilant, especially at the beginning of a relationship. But the thing is that you may be dealing with somebody who is telling you that you're crazy. That's the worst, because you may really sense it, and you're being told otherwise. But in some cases, maybe you are paranoid. Maybe, there's what is it? There's this saying, even though, just because doesn't mean you're not paranoid or something. I forgot. But let me keep going here. In the past position, we have the Five of Cups. This is a card of, mourning the loss of something. So this can certainly be a relationship that ended that you didn't want to end. And maybe that's why you're paranoid now, because you're thinking of the past and you're like, I don't want this to happen again. I can't bear the pain of this happening yet again. Well, in those kinds of situations, if you haven't resolved something where there was a breakup, maybe somebody betrayed you or hurt you is more the thing in a general sense. Maybe you're having abandonment issues. Perhaps this even goes back to childhood. It puts you in that heightened state of alert, and that kind of sucks, to be in that state and be single and looking at potential partners and always feeling like, what if they hurt me? What would I do? What if you said to yourself, Gemini, you know what? Who cares? Who cares if they hurt me? That's not the end of the world if somebody hurts me, or disappoints me because they were deceptive. It is what it is. And you had the guts to do it. I think a lot of you do, though. A lot of you are detached. In this particular case, if you are in a relationship, this could be something that is really happening. And you've been disappointed by this person before, so you're even more on edge about this. The higher message is the Hierophant, and I think this can go many ways. One, if you put your faith in God, or whatever you call God, the universe, or Krishna, if you're not Christian, whatever you put your faith in. If you are having that relationship, you're not going to be as worried about mundane relationships, I guarantee you. Because you're going to be fulfilled emotionally, and you're not looking for somebody to fulfill you, to validate you. The Hierophant can also be that you have been conditioned to believe that you have to stay married. And that may keep you in this perpetual state of dealing with somebody who's cheating, feeling suspicious, they deny it, and then you feel crazy. And this is one of the reasons why I say culture is oppressive, because whether it's a religious culture, ethnic culture, because you may be born into a culture that doesn't stand for what you stand for. So it really doesn't matter. We're individuals. We don't necessarily align with the influences around us. And so if you're in that type, like where some families will say, we don't have divorce in this family. I think I've heard people say that or something. It sounds kind of old-fashioned now, because 50% of all divorces, marriages end in divorce. But even if we're not talking about, just marriage, we could be talking about children. And perhaps if you feel pressured to have children, or for the family to be together because it symbolizes something within your family of origin or something, or they think it's shameful to be a broken family, a family that has been broken up or something, you may be allowing other people to dictate your life as an adult. And that's on you, Gemini, if you have done something to this effect. You can't blame others for what you have done. So just kind of like looking at it from, tradition may exist and may have like a purpose. It may feel very safe to have traditions. And it may feel like kind of, like life isn't as chaotic. I guess that's a form of safety. But sometimes it's the wrong thing to do to stay with somebody. And leaving would be a better choice. What crosses you is the King of Pentacles. I didn't say that the Hierophant is Taurus. And this is in the challenge position. So this is a person, if this is the person you're with, this person is very materialistic. There's a price tag on everything. They're very shallow. So they're not, spiritually evolved. And you may had something in common with them for some reason, but if you are with this person and thinking that they're adding value to your life, really try to ask yourself what value, because this person, their values are based on dollars and cents. Also, this person could be your boss. And maybe you feel like you can't go against the boss. Like if you were, like for instance, if you're in an affair with somebody like this, and perhaps there's a lot of intrigue, like you have to kind of, go around and cheat. I mean, like sneak around. That may feel exciting sometimes when people do that. They may feel like their life is being kind of enlivened by it, but it's not really a positive excitement. It's a negative excitement. Also, the other thing is, maybe you didn't know that this person was married, whether it's your boss, whether it's just some person, and they may not have like lied to you, but it was just sin of omission, where they just didn't happen to mention that they were married. It just didn't, cross their mind. And that can feel like when you are in that position that you got played, and you did get played, and so it's making you very I don't know what you call it, like very just wary. Also, this could be your father, and you may have daddy issues that are like affecting who you choose and why. If your father was a philanderer, maybe you're attracted to ladies' men, and that I was just thinking about, what if you're a gay man listening to this? Men's men. But that idea of, this person that you look up to that has this moral failing, and yet there's a confusion because you're supposed to worship your parents, right? At least up until a certain point. It's like, I can see how that would be very upsetting and confusing, more than anything confusing. So think about that. Think about, how you were taught. If you are a heterosexual woman, and I'm emphasizing, I do emphasize sexual orientation, because there have to be differences in terms of how you're conditioned versus how you view that, the gender of that person. When you talk about like, what do you call it? Projection. It's going to be something that the person reminds you of somebody else. So it's hard to get triggered by somebody who doesn't have, even facial features or bodily features of the person who did abuse you or what have you. So that's why I usually, I don't care about labels or anything like that. But sometimes when I'm trying to be as specific as possible, you have to excuse me, I have a moon in Virgo, so I try to be as specific as possible. So those kinds of things where you are confused about who you're supposed, what qualities in a person are you supposed to reject. My own, I'm talking, not my situation, but a person could say to themselves, my own father was kind of a dog. Like he cheated on my mom over and over again. So do I identify with my mother? But she was this victim that allowed herself to be abused. So maybe I'm going to be mad at men. And I'm just going to be like the Page of Swords, always wary, always like waiting for the other shoe to drop. And that ruins my relationships because the other person doesn't like that I don't trust them. Maybe I'm going to find myself attracted to men who are womanizers because I want to see if I can get them to love me and only me, And then I can kind of like get rid of what happened when I was growing up. All the things, all the pain that I saw my father cause my mother. These things are deep. The one thing I want to say, this is very important about the King of Pentacles in reverse. If you are or have been dealing with a narcissist, understand that they use money to manipulate. That can be one of the big things that they use. And let's face it, a lot of people like to have people give them money, you know? It's fun to get money from somebody. Especially if in the beginning it just was easy money. It didn't seem like the person was giving you any grief. There was no, you know, because that's the thing. They lure you in. These are very conniving people. So you have to be one step ahead of them. And that's what kind of the Page of Swords is about. But if you are in that type of relationship in the first place, why are you there? If you don't trust the person you're with, why are you there? Now, sometimes we do encounter, you know, special circumstances where you may have been lied to by somebody. Let's say they had an addiction and they lied to you all the time. And it ruined your trust with that person. So you may still be having trouble trusting them, but you have a decent relationship and they are a decent person to you. So it's not black or white by any means. What's coming in is the Knight of Wands. This is kind of like a very bold energy. And so for you, you know what it almost sounds like, Gemini? It's like two can play this game. That might be the title of this. Where you're like, okay, you're going to do this to me and you're going to like deny that you're cheating. Okay, I'm going to do this to you. Now, I'll just say on the outset, even though I'll probably use this as a title because it's kind of provocative. I wouldn't say it's clickbaity, but it does, you know, I don't always put titles on my videos, but I think I'm going to do that. But it's not really a mature response. It's kind of like, you know, staying connected to somebody that you do not trust, that you think is lacking integrity. And if you do this and then you're like, okay, that's going to give me carte blanche to cheat as well, isn't that just prolonging the inevitable? Wouldn't it be better to just break up with that person if that's what's really going on? I don't know. I'm just asking you. Like, what are the circumstances that you wouldn't do that? Maybe if you had kids together and or you have a house together and you know it's going to be hard to sell the house and it's more convenient for you to live there right now. And if you've like decided that you are out of love with this person, you may just bide your time. As long as you're not giving, you know, mixed messages, I guess. Because then you're just kind of leading them on. That wouldn't be good either. The outcome is the Seven of Cups. This suggests that you may be in high demand romantically, but you have to practice discernment. You know, I always think of like, is it The Price is Right? Door number 7 has a snake in it. So you have to this can be like wishful thinking. This can be, you know, for somebody who is, sometimes people who are playing Nancy Drew, you know, is that a good reference or not? If you're playing detective with somebody and you really don't care about them emotionally, but you're just there because you're afraid to be alone, you're like acting like the relationship is something that you want to salvage, but really you're out of love with that person. So to me, that's a form of misleading them, or, you know, kind of, I'm trying to think of that phrase that means like, you know, kind of leading them on. There's another phrase I was thinking of. And that isn't, forget about them. It's not good for you because then you can't really move on with your life. So suffice it to say, if you feel a sense of confusion right now about what your path should be, understand that you hold the key. It's not about waiting for somebody else to change. That is such like, to me, a fruitless path to go on, because the chances of somebody else changing fundamentally are not that great. They may stay stuck and wanting you to kind of be there with them and tolerate it, and there's no growth. So relationships should be about growth. I think that's a pretty common thing. Let me pick an additional card just for the heck of it. I just cut the deck in half. Well, this is a card that, you are swords, so it could be that you're steeling yourself to make a decision that doesn't involve your emotions, or actually with the Queen, it does involve your emotions, but you're putting them on the back burner. Also, with the Seven of Cups, that can be very emotional. So you don't want to make a decision based on emotion. You want to make it based on, cold, hard facts, logic, and that sort of thing. Okay, that's what I have for you, Gemini. I hope that you enjoyed this. If you'd like a private reading, the link is below. Take care. Bye.